The Brooklyn Nets have finally listened. Well, sort of. And they didn't listen to the fans, including myself, who asked for this to happen, but the analytics that backed up the fact that they should play Ben Simmons as their small ball center. While Ben Simmons has dramatically improved his play, regardless of what position he's been over the Nets' past 3 games, Simmons playing as the only non-shooter on the floor is something that I've asked for since the team started this season with a record of 1-4. And today we're going to break down and look into how Ben Simmons has excelled and why him starting at center is the best bet for both him and the Nets' success. Also, if you guys enjoy the NBA or just the Brooklyn Nets, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. So last night, the Brooklyn Nets lost to the undermanned Philadelphia 76ers by a score of 115-106. And early in the game, it looked like the Nets were going to cruise along and they had this game under control, despite the fact that I wasn't happy with them starting Nic Claxton alongside Ben Simmons. But Doc Rivers called a timeout, and eventually the Sixers became unconscious from beyond the arc as they hit 16 threes on the night while attempting 32, thus meaning they shot 50% from three-point range, which is just an unlucky night for the Nets, to be honest with you. The Nets defense definitely could have played better, and honestly, if they played the unit that they had played in their previous 2 games, that might have happened, as last night Markieff Morris only played 4 minutes, and in terms of offense, they had no offense from Cam Thomas or Edmund Sumner, who currently leads the NBA in free throw percentage, as both him and Cam Thomas only played garbage minutes once the game was out of hand. While I honestly have loved most of what Jacque Vaughn has thrown out in terms of his rotations since he's taken over as the Brooklyn Nets head coach for Steve Nash, last night was really the first time I was unhappy with Vaughn's rotations this season. Now, in terms of rotations, we're going to look at some ratings, and these ratings looked better and backed my argument a bit more prior to last night's game, as obviously when you have a loss in which you struggle for most of the night, it's going to make your overall efficiency numbers look much worse. But looking at Ben Simmons with the Nets when there's no big on the floor, or at least no Nic Claxton or Day'Ron Sharpe on the floor, the Nets have their best defensive rating with just Ben Simmons on the court in both games, where Simmons and Claxton and Sharpe all got playing time, as well as also in games where 1 or 2 of those 3 men are out of the game. And in the games where all 3 guys played, the defensive rating with just Ben on the floor is much better, as the Nets are giving up nearly 9 less points per 100 possessions. Their offense has a higher rating with Claxton on the floor opposed to the other 2 men, thus making their net rating higher when only Claxton is on the court. But defensively, they struggle more with Claxton and have played 40 more minutes with just Claxton on the floor, so the numbers are of course going to be a bit jaded. Plus, the numbers favored just Ben on the floor prior to last night's game, but the poor performance from the Nets last night really changed the numbers a bit. At the end of the day, though, Ben Simmons is the guy that the Nets front office and ownership looks at as their future, and with the defense better with Ben on the court as the center, assumedly because the team has the ability to switch on to different players better with Simmons on the court at center, then I think we know that going with the small ball center of Ben Simmons at the 5 is the Nets' best option. Another thing is that it feels like Kevin Durant's interview with Chris Haynes woke up the players on this Nets group and raised their level of play, as an hour prior to the interview, the Nets got destroyed by the Sacramento Kings by a score of 153-121. But the game following that interview, the Nets scored a comeback win against the team who held the best record in the Western Conference at the time, the Portland Trail Blazers. Ben Simmons nearly dropped a triple-double off the bench that night, as he dropped a then-season high of 15 points along with 7 rebounds and 13 assists. Then, in the next game, which happened this past Sunday against the Memphis Grizzlies, the Nets would win by 12 points and held the 19-point lead with 2 minutes and 2 seconds remaining, so there was a bit of box score window dressing done by the Grizzlies a bit. But Ben Simmons started his first game at center and looked brilliant, as he dropped a now-season high of 22 points to go along with 5 assists and 8 rebounds. So if that doesn't tell you anything about what Simmons' position and role should be going forward, then I'm not really sure what will. Simmons played solid last night as he flirted with a triple-double once again, but results of games are what matter the most to me, whether it's wins or losses, and clearly the Nets should learn from this that Ben Simmons at center is the answer and where he needs to play going forward. I've been an advocate for Ben Simmons at center since the team started 1-4, and the analytics and stats backed up Ben Simmons at the 5, like I said in the intro. And with a game in Toronto tonight on the second half of a back-to-back, and the Nets historically struggling on the second half of back-to-backs, I think the Nets need to do whatever gives them the best chance to win. And with Pascal Siakam out with an adductor injury, and the Raptors now starting Juan Hernan-Gomez in place of Siakam, I can see the Nets head coach Jacque Vaughn wanting to start Claxton once again tonight to match up with him, but I think Simmons at the 5 is the answer, as Simmons going up against Steven Adams on Sunday night looked like a very silly decision, but which team ended up winning that game and was more efficient? The team with the small ball center. Growing up, I loved the days of going with a one dominant big man or two big men that are dominant together, such as the Spurs duo of the Admiral David Robinson alongside Tim Duncan, or the Pistons running Rasheed and Ben Wallace together on their way to an NBA title. And that's why I thought the Timberwolves had a chance to be a surprisingly good team this season, but boy was I wrong about that, as the Timberwolves are just barely in a play-in spot as of right now. And I've realized as the season has started that the days of the guys like Rudy Gobert and that type of big men being on contenders are over, and you can't get by with those guys on winning teams anymore if you have championships in your sights. The small ball role is the new recipe for success in the NBA, and it's time for the Nets to finally pull the trigger on naming Ben Simmons as their starting center for the remainder of the 2022-23 NBA season. I want to know, though, what you guys think about this Nets team, any of their players, where you think Ben Simmons should play, or anything we talked about in the video down below in the comment section. If you like this video, then make sure to give it a like, as it helps out a lot. And if you're new to the channel and enjoy the NBA, the Nets, or whatever, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you stay up to date with all the newest content on my channel. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'm SCJ, and I am out. Peace.